Hey, welcome back to the Power Players podcast. Excited for today. This guest I'm going to set up, man. He's from Texas. He owns the Snarr Academy and Snarr partnership, Roy Snarr. Okay, one of the things that he's doing is he's going to do over $1 million in life insurance this year and over $15 million in annuities. Please welcome to the podcast a real power player, Roy Snarr.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cody. I'm excited to be here.
Dude, appreciate you being here as well, man. For those that don't know before we get into your story, I can't help but look at just the amount of people you're helping. You're helping yourself and your family making a bunch of money, which is great. Yeah. You're helping a lot of amazing clients around the world. You're helping a lot of agents as well and advisors that really want to ramp up their game and do something bigger in a big way. Yeah. So we're going to talk, for those that are like new to Roy, we're going to talk like high level concepts, but very basic and elementary about those, because he would lose me in like 14 seconds and maybe he would lose some of you guys. Okay. But the dude knows his stuff. How did you get to where, man, you just woke up and started making tons of money, helping people and really developing these strategies along the way?
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, it's been a very unique journey. My whole family background, we're all blue collar workers. My family is from California and Missouri. So in Missouri, my dad's side of the family grew up doing commercial logging. Harvesting white oak trees there, taking them to stave mills. And then in California, I lived with my mother, did schooling, and then had little yard jobs and whatnot. Yeah. So my whole family, none of us in our background ever were like insurance or financial planning, anything like that. So I had no, background. Like a lot of people, their parents are in it, and it's awesome. They get to be a part of the business. So what happened was, when I was about 14 years old, my mom became permanently disabled. Somebody ran a stop sign, hit her. So she ended up losing the car. We lost the house. Okay. And she lost her job. We had to move in with my grandparents. A divorce happened at that time with a stepfather of mine. And at the same time, this was in 2001, the stock market crashed. So she lost everything. So it was just like this big double whammy. And at 14, I didn't know. I was worried about Pokemon cards and riding my bicycle.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So
what were you thinking though? What were you thinking? 14, 15 years old, man. What were you thinking when all that was going on?
How could that happen? Because it was, we were just middle class, we weren't driving Ferraris or anything, but we always had what we needed. And then that rug got pulled out and I was just in awe, like what happened? And then my mom and I have always been very, very close. And so I was like, well, what do we got to do? And she goes, we got to move in with my parents. I said, let's go. So we ended up moving middle of high school, a few hours away. Yeah.
That's crazy. And then what led to you getting into this specific industry, right? Because you come from, talk about commercial logging and all this different stuff. Yeah. Why insurance? What led you here today?
Oh, yeah, because it's not like we, as a young kid, I was like, I can't wait to grow up and sell insurance and help people with insurance, right? That was part of the dream initially.
That's right.
But what led me to this industry was the fact that what happened in my own personal life. How could one single life event completely change the outcome of a family, right? And what could have been prevented? Now that accident, we couldn't have stopped that. That just happened, right? However, if my mother had different protection barriers, some disability insurance, some different asset protection for her market funds, right? Life could have been different. Now, we don't regret any of it because it led us to be here today. And I'm very fortunate and blessed that she's able to work with me now for the last 12 years, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
But that's what really drove me to it. So when I went to school, I originally wanted to study genetic engineering. I just love science, but then I got to chemistry and I don't like that math. So I changed to history and then I was like, this is boring. I like it. Yeah. What am I going to do? And I ended up recruiting myself to a insurance agency. And I worked with that agency for about 2.5 years. And then this history. Yeah.
No wonder you're so smart, man. Like, think about all those things that you had interest in,
Yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, I couldn't get past algebra. Luckily, like the math we deal with now doesn't have the alphabet involved. So it's very simple. Yeah. But yeah, I've always just loved wanting to help people, communicate with people. And this is the perfect industry to do that. I mean, what's a better way to guarantee somebody's financial future backed by $1 billion companies? So.
Yeah. And can anybody do what you're doing today? For those that are out there that are brand new, they're struggling, they don't understand this stuff, it's complex, and they're like, bro, I would just like to sell one final expense a week.
Exactly. Anybody can do this. And I'll tell you a little bit. I'm a very slow learner. I mean, you hear these success stories, especially on your podcast here. in your channel, these people that just walk into the industry and they absolutely crush it, do a few 100,000 in target life the first year. That was not me. Okay. I literally was selling life insurance out of my truck, and I would stuff people's mailboxes. Before I found out you're not supposed to do that, I would go to hotels because I couldn't afford the printer at FedEx. I'd go to hotels and use their printer, like a Hilton. I'd walk in and print flyers, and it'd be about life insurance 7702, tax-free retirement. I was reading Patrick Kelly's book, all of this stuff. I was posting it. I got kicked out of Starbucks because I was posting flyers about it there, and you're only supposed to do nonprofit. But this was all my early 20s. I didn't know any better. I didn't have a plan B. I was just literally door knocking.
You were creative though.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be. I was hungry. So, we had to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, now this is why we developed this course. I'm like, look, I've made a lot of mistakes. And over the last decade plus, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on stuff that works and doesn't work. So I want to help these agents avoid some of the mistakes and perhaps accelerate their path to success. So.
Yes. And now you've got the Snarr Agent Academy at snarracademy.com for those that are wondering what we're talking about. Okay. And something that he's doing very well with when you think about like asset protection and asset-based long-term care and these higher level concepts, they're not that complicated, right? And you can teach anybody, which is great. When you think about transitioning from maybe someone is like, they feel like they're just peddling policies and they're very transactional. And they want to move into a larger, more advanced, higher level market where they earn like what do you make on average per sell, hypothetically, like on average? What do you think?
Yeah, so I could tell you the rough numbers here. So if we roll over, there's three types of sales that we'll help somebody out with. Let's just say we're doing a regular life insurance policy, right? We still help people with just 10-year terms and whatever they may need, right? So the average life insurance policy, it's about $2,500 in commission wise. Okay. And then if you're looking at the annuity premiums, our average rollover rate is around $275 in premium. And then you can times that by 4 to 8%, depending on your commission rate. And then on the asset-based LTC side, our average premium is right around $100,000 of single premium. And those range anywhere between, 4 to 8% in commission also. So those are kind of our average case sizes there.
Okay. So that's solid. So, I mean, really you're looking at $2,500 for life. $4,000 to $8,000 for every long-term care that you sell.
Yep.
And then on the annuity side, you can, almost 3x that. So about, 8 to really actually 12 to 24 grand for every annuity. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And this is why, like, to your point there, a lot of the folks we work with, they're in the Medicare or final expense space. And it's like, there's a difference between being a Medicare enroller or just a final expense transactional person. This side of the industry is way more relationship driven. And it may take, 3 to 6 months to have a deal finalized versus a simplified issue, $300,000 term for your mortgage protection. That's improved, paid one day, you move on. So this is a different side of the fence, but this is where we train people on it's worth the time and the relationship building because of not only the financial outcome, but just the relationship with the client and how many more people you're able to help too.
Yes. Yep. And it's something that, so if someone really is wanting to start to transition a little bit and at least start to research and consider transitioning to a little more focus on some of these items, how would they go about transitioning? What would that look like?
Well, one of the ways that you could do first, what I always encourage everybody is to take a look at their current situation. And if they're happy with where they're at and what they're doing, and they're really good at it, and they don't want to focus on anything else, then just stay with what you're doing. You just have to ask yourself, in 5 years from now, am I going to be happy doing this exact same thing? If the answer is yes, then don't change. But most people in our space, they want something more. They want to do something bigger and better, right? And so if you're not utilizing asset-based long-term care, this could be a great way to explore that opportunity to actually do something much greater with your career. And so one of the things that we always encourage people, we offer, say a free 30-minute phone call with us. We're going to have a whole Zoom breakdown where we say, hey, look, here's how the industry works. This is some of the opportunities you can have. There's plenty of free resources we put out there. But ultimately, that Agent Academy is going to walk people through step by step. Here is what long-term care is. This is how to talk about it, blah, 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 all the objections you'll hear. But if you really think of it, the reason why it's so powerful is because it's a topic that not too many people know about. And it's an opportunity for an agent or an advisor to become an absolute expert in their field. And it helps overcome the biggest objections. the biggest objection when people want to get into, say, the annuity space or a big life insurance policy, their financial advisor. Could be the best product. You could be the best person. They could love you, but that financial advisor of theirs, they've known for 25 years and they used to babysit them. I mean, who knows, right? And so how do you avoid that objection? Well, they're most likely not helping them with long-term care. So now you create a partnership with the advisor and the client. That advisor then sends the agent business for all the long-term care. That happens to us all the time. It's great because if it's not confrontational, we respect lines and you all open the door up to way more business.
So that's one of the prospecting methods that you use.
Correct. Yeah.
And it probably has a decent sized close rate because it's like,
very much so.
Yeah, high-end referral like that. That's awesome.
Especially with all of our fiduciary standards with these advisors. They want to help their clients out with long-term care, but you can't know it all. You can't manage money good and then do long-term care. I tell clients all the time, it's like, if your mechanic is also your dentist, do you want to get your teeth work done? Right?
Yes.
No, you want a specialist. And that's what we try to help advisors become, is our specialists in their niches. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And what are some other prospecting methods to find clients like this for these different products?
There's a few ways, right? I like the transfer of relationship. So for example, let's say I can move anywhere in the country. Let's say I move to Springfield, Missouri. All right.
Yes.
And I come down there and I go visit with you, Cody. You have an insurance agency and you sell Medicare or property and casualty. Doesn't matter. I go up to you and say, hey, Cody, guess what? You're selling Medicare. You're helping people with, all this important health decisions for the rest of their life. But I can help you help them with something that Medicare does not cover, which is long-term care. How are you helping your clients currently? And if you ask 10 Medicare reps, how are you helping your clients with long-term care? Most likely you're going to hear, we're not, or it's a short-term home health care policy that we just bundled on, right? And so this is where you can create partnerships. And if you're already in the Medicare space, this is where you can actually branch out a little bit and have the conversation and be different than everybody else. Most people are saying, here's what Medicare covers. Well, what does it not cover, right? And one of the things that we're doing to help agents with this is that we have a book called Medicare Doesn't Care, right? Clever. And we're going to be white labeling it so that they can hand this out to their clients and they can also read it themselves, very high level about long-term care. This way they could be better positioned, because imagine the impact that they can have on these people. That's one of our goals, right? Is to help agents become educated, because I've personally lived through it 4 times, long-term care in my family. Okay. And we're very passionate about this. And if they can make a difference in those lives, that's going to be amazing, because nobody else is doing it and they could be that person. And imagine if they don't do it and that person calls them, hey, like this happened to me, my father-in-law, right? He called me, I call my outlaws, because his dad was in a Medicare situation where he needed long-term care. And he calls me, goes, Roy, Medicare's not paying for it. I go, exactly, because Medicare doesn't care. It doesn't cover custodial long-term care. So they had to come out of pocket, right? Imagine if all the people that these agents are helping, and they're not at least having the conversation. They're leaving that client exposed, because most clients have a perception that it is covered. So
yeah, and 2/3 of seniors over the age of 65 end up needing some type of care.
They do. Exactly.
That's a crazy stat. It's maybe even higher now. I don't know, but like back when I was talking about this stuff, it was big.
Oh, it's crazy. And then, to add to that stat, the average stay in care is closer to 5 years now. Alzheimer's and dementia could be 8 years. Parkinson's is 12. So if you look at if you put it all together, it's about 5 years. And so
what's it cost on average? What's it cost on average per month? If you just average it out, maybe, or choose a facility in Austin, Texas, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Austin, Texas is going to be more expensive than Arkansas, right? So,
or Missouri.
Exactly. Depends on where you're at. But on average, it's about $7,000 a month for care. And that's if somebody's coming into your home or if you're going to a facility. And here's the way I explain it, Cody. It's like hotel shopping. We can stay at the Motel 1 in East St. Louis, or we can stay at the Ritz-Carlton in St. Louis, right? Well, maybe we're happy with just the Holiday Inn, okay? So the Motel 1 is Medicaid, where you don't have anything. You've blown through all of your assets. You've wasted your entire life savings to pay for an unfair and crooked healthcare system. Or the Ritz-Carltons, where you're a multimillionaire, you can buy whatever you want. We're just trying to help people get at that Holiday Inn. Look, the type of care that you're going to get, right, is all guaranteed. It may not cover everything, but at least it's going to give you a leg up for the future.
Yes. And it does need to be talked about too, because like you just mentioned the stats, 5 years at 7,000 a month on average is literally at 84,000 a year is $420,000 over 5 years.
That's not including inflation too, by the way. You're just doing 1 year there. So.
That's correct. That's a good point. I'm not even including, it's it's 500-600 grand. And you look at it without inflation too. You talk about Alzheimer's or dementia, it's close to $700,000.
It is. It's crazy. And, like my grandfather was Alzheimer's for over 6 years. World War II vet, tough as nails. No, he would never ask anybody for help. But you get to that, and that's another objection. I won't get there. I'll just, I'll be all right. My family pushed me out on the iceberg. Well, cognitively, you may not even know what's going on, and that's what happens, right?
That's a good point.
Or a lot of people are getting Parkinson's. If you look it up, it's scary, and they're perfectly healthy people. And so, how do you mitigate these risks, right? And
yes.
The biggest objection that people have that you may have heard too is, oh, I can self-insure. Oh, okay, great. So when everybody says that, just ask them one simple question. Are you going to have Medicare? Well, yeah, I'm going to have Medicare. I'm like, well, why? You can self-insure. And they go, oh, wow, I didn't think of it that way. So
that's good.
Even if you could self-insure, you're going to spend the same 400 grand in this example, right? Out of your pocket, or you can have an insurance company pay. Which one would you rather do?
Correct.
Right? What do you think wealthy people do?
Yeah, they don't just set $700,000 aside, $1 million aside just to cover this. Like if they can insure it and pay a lot less, $100,000 one time single premium like this.
Correct.
I mean, would that cover 5 years? I mean, what's that look like typically? 100,000, and obviously age and health and all that factor in.
Sure.
I get it, but
high level, really simple. We work with carriers that are guaranteed for life payments, the majority of them. So, for example, the leverage ratio now with rates, it's about 5 to 1. Depending on how long they may need it, of course.
Yep.
So let's say 100,000 goes in, 500,000 can be paid out. So really, the insurance company is kicking in 400,000 after they go through their first 100. But I asked them, if you have in your portfolio earmarked $500,000 for long-term care, how about I show you a way that you could earmark only 100,000 for long-term care and get the same $500,000? You can reinvest that difference. Would that be of interest to you? What do you think their financial advisor is saying? Yes, finally, we can manage more money now, right?
Correct. They got another 400 grand to do something with. Yeah,
totally. It's a win-win for everybody involved. So just simple little tricks like that, we help agents, learn these verbal things just so they can help their clients out, right? And the best part about this, it's not a sales tactic. It's not like you're trying to close somebody and do all these fancy things. You're just having a conversation, asking questions, right?
What's one of your favorite questions? Just something simple takeaway for our audience today on like, okay, I'm in front of people all day, every week, 15 people a week, whatever. And I want to start just asking.
Yeah. So the first thing I always ask people is like, have you experienced anybody that has gone through a long-term care situation, either a loved one or a friend or a family member? And then most people will say, yes, my mother, my father, my grandmother, my cousin, whatever. It gets them thinking, right? Because let's be real. Nobody, and this is the thing I say to people all the time. I said, nobody wants to buy this, right? This is tough. Your financial advisor selling you on Bermuda and trips. I'm talking to you about who's going to change your diaper. And you got to put money away with an insurance company to pay for it.
Amazing. Right? I love Roy. Thank you for that.
It's a hard conversation, but it's the real conversation. I tell folks all the time, I'm going to have a conversation with you that nobody else will, right? You think your kids are going to have this? You think your advisor is going to have this? They're not. And so the whole goal is to ask questions and to see if it's important to them, right? It's not important to everybody, and that's okay. It's their money, their life, right? So that's the first question I ask. Have you ever experienced anybody? Oh, yeah. Well, tell me about it. How were you feeling at that time, right? Were you feeling hopeless? Did you have to change your lifestyle to take care of your parents? Yeah, I had to quit work, or I had to come home early from work. It took away from my kids. I get them to explain and their emotions and feelings. And I say, would you want to do that to your kids? No, I would not. If there was a way to help protect that, would you be interested in learning more? Yes. Okay. And I'll even speak with your advisor. We can all go to his office, right? You can have him on a Zoom call. And when you do that, most people don't even take you up on the advisor conversation. But just doing that brings the walls down, right?
A lot of confidence. Like it shows a lot of confidence.
Totally. And that's what's so easy about this. It's not complicated. It's foreign to most advisors. Mm-hmm. And so it just gets lost in the wayside, but we help train them. Like it's really basic. I mean, explaining the policy is you put money in, the insurance company pays this amount. Do you want to do it? Okay, great. Let's ask to see if you can even qualify. That's it.
Yeah. How long have you been focusing on this piece of your business like this?
Oh man. So I've been licensed for about 12 years now. And the whole time being licensed, it's all been about asset protection. But early in my career, I started off doing mortgage protection mailers, buying as many of those as I could and doing the door flyers and everything of that nature, right? And then as life insurance and long-term care kind of crossed over and the product started developing and becoming more advantageous for the consumer, it really caught my attention. I was like, okay, this is cool. You can have life insurance and long-term care. Why wouldn't you, right? And so I would say over the last about 5 to 6 years, we've been really focused on specifically the LTC side of things. And that is also with annuities too, because even if it's an income annuity or just a growth annuity, that's still long-term care. That's long-term planning, right? And so we've incorporated everything into one. Yeah,
I love it. And how do agents learn more about you and this? Maybe they want to reach out. Maybe they have questions. Maybe they want to book the 30 minutes for free, whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we're doing here, I always encourage everybody, you can just Google my name. Luckily, I have a really weird last name, Snarr, so I dominate Google, which is awesome.
Two R's. 2 R's.
2 R's. Yeah. Roy Snarr with 2 R's. Yeah, exactly. And so they can watch my video. Obviously, they're going to see this video. I have other videos that I've done. They can check out the Academy website. We're going to be relaunching it and revamping it. They look at the partnerships. We're really easy to get a hold of. I mean, obviously, we run a pretty hectic schedule. So a lot of these 30-minute calls, it may be booked out a month or two, but if they just send an email and if they're really interested, we can do that. The other important thing that we do as part of the Academy, we do like a weekly Zoom call with them, everybody. And we do live case design, which is different, right? Because a lot of the training courses, they don't actually have live design. And we're out here in the fields, in the trenches, we're battling just like they are. And we're saying, hey, look, this is what worked and this is what didn't. And then we have live objections. Like you can throw any objection at me and I go, this is how I would handle it. This is in my opinion, right? And we break it all down for them. But the other thing, Cody, we help a lot of agents out with is just their branding. I mean, you do a phenomenal job at branding. It's awesome. And so I learned a lot from you on the branding side. I'm like, man, I got to get my game up way better. I got to be like Cody up here. Okay. And so we're trying to help them out also, like with the branding aspect of, look at the polos, right? The simple. You have your 8% Nation. I have mine on. Most people don't even have their own polo. We help them with, we have a partnership with Beyond Publishing. Michael Butler, he's going to be at the event speaking with me. He can help you become international bestsellers, become your own author. And the books are ghostwritten. Like if you had to read my, I don't know where to put a comma or a punctuation or anything. Like I am like 3rd grade grammar, but they do it all for us. Right. And agents can have this and they just don't know about these opportunities. So we try to help them with all this grassroots stuff. It's all on the course. We say, hey, look, if you want to reach out to these people, just call them. Let's try to help you grow your practice and don't be scared to spend a little bit of money. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good, man. I love it. This has been very educational, very informative. I know we're going to keep doing a bunch of stuff together. You're obviously speaking at 8%, which is going to be amazing. You guys have to get, dude, at the time of recording this, it won't go out today, but the point of recording this, we're literally 20 days away.
I can't wait, man. It's going to be awesome.
Nuts. Yeah. It's going to be
crazy.
And
this is my first 8%. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I was like, man, I got to go to this, So
well, I'm excited to have you there, but I'm also excited to have you involved too. So appreciate that, man. Seriously.
Yeah, no, thanks so much. I mean, it's great. And some of the speakers there that you have, like Ed Milet, dude, I remember crying, driving, listening to Ed Milet on one of his first CDs. He was part of World Financial Group, right? And he had a CD called The Eye Opener. Like nobody knows about this stuff, right? This is old school, like when they came from cassette to CD, and just crying like, man, I just want to make it in this business. I want to do it. Like it was rough. There was years where it just struggled. So that's another thing too. Like you share with agents all the time, don't give up, just hang in there. And, sometimes it's easy to hear that, but then like you had struggles, we all have struggles. But if they just don't give up and keep going through it, it's totally worth it. If you really want it, right? So.
Yes, it is. And you're a great example of that, man. I appreciate you sharing a lot. Like I got a whole page of notes. Roy, it's dropping it like it's hot, dude. This is phenomenal. Thank you for doing a little live, more advanced coaching with all of us today.
Totally.
I know your time is super valuable and I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you, Cody. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for being on the Power Player Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Roy Snarr.
Thank you.
Hey, if you enjoyed this,
I got another one you're gonna love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
Hey, welcome back to the CA Power Players Podcast. Your host, Cody Askins. I got a special guest today. This woman has done incredible things in this business. Let me give you some stats for introduce her. Okay, it's crazy what she's done. Her team last year did